Hey, welcome to the channel. We hope that you enjoy today's stories and check out the chapters on the video to see all the stories for today. But before we get into this video, subscribe to the channel and hit that bell icon to get notified when we release a new video. So let's get into the video.
What are some really dangerous things most people don't realize are dangerous?
Experience 1. A few inches of moving water over a roadway. When teaching my oldest to drive, I made sure he understood never to drive through water on the roadway if it could possibly, safely, be avoided. You never know how deep it could be, and water can absolutely pick your whole car up and send you off in unintended directions quite suddenly at the same speed you were traveling. Having done both, I would 100% prefer to drive through an all-out blizzard than through a torrential downpour. Experience 2. If you need someone's attention while they're using heavy equipment in a non-emergency situation, let them finish before getting their attention. I work as a meat cutter. When I'm cutting something on the bandsaw, I have my back turned to the counter. A lot of customers expect to get service immediately as soon as they walk up to the counter. So, I'm cutting something, and they immediately make a loud noise to get my attention. Like picking up a metal signpost and banging it on the floor or slamming the counter. It surprises me, making me flinch depending on how loud it is. With my fingers inches from a saw that easily passes through the thickest of cow bones. I don't care how important your dinner date steak is. If I lose my hand, I will do my darndest to punch you in the face with my bloody stump. Experience 3. Not having enough sodium. There are always warnings about too much salt, but apparently, if you don't have enough, it can throw your body totally out of whack. Learned this after passing out and ending up in the ER. Experience 4. I work as a paramedic, and I think I once had the dumbest human of all time as a patient. We get called for a cardiac issue and arrive to find a gentleman in rapid atrial fibrillation, 180 BPM. After treating him, his heart rate and associated chest pain, shortness of breath, and palpitations are resolved, and we begin to ask him in more detail about his medical history. He was pretty young and seemed a little sketchy, so I thought he was just abusing cocaine, but it turned out to be much sillier than that. He had recently been diagnosed with heart problems a few weeks ago when he had a similar event occur. When he got discharged, he asked his doctor what he could do to make sure this never happened again. The doctor gave him the standard eat well, get good sleep, exercise, drink a lot of water, etc. speech. Upon getting home, apparently, all he remembered was drink lots of water. My man pounded like 3 gallons of water over the course of a few hours, which is more than enough to dilute your blood enough to make you relatively hyponatremic, low sodium. He was rushed back to the hospital, and the same doctors saw him again. Upon discharge, he asked the same question again. The doctor, utterly stunned at this guy's inability to keep himself alive, said, "Don't do that ever again." The dude got home and again all he could remember was no water. We met him at about day 2.5 of no fluids, completely dehydrated and at death's door. All I could think about once I heard that backstory was John Connor in Terminator 2 asking Arnold, "We're not going to make it, are we? Humans, I mean." Experience 5. Electricity. You can't see it until it's too late. Harmless wires dangling around will put you into the ground. Even if it looks good, it can be done wrong and start a fire. Source: am an electrician. Experience 6. Bleach. Mix with ammonia? Basically, mustard gas, you died. Mix with alcohol? Chloroform, you can pass out and have organ failure. Mix with vinegar? Chlorine gas, you died. Bonus, mix hydrogen peroxide and vinegar. Peracetic acid, your lungs bleed. Experience 7. Falling down. I know there are jokes about the whole "I've fallen and I can't get up." But it's a real danger. As we get older, our bones lose density and strength, so falling can actually cause legitimate injuries. And even if you're not old, unprotected falls are still dangerous. Street fights where people get knocked out and fall onto concrete is super dangerous. It doesn't take a lot of height to cause serious damage when falling and hitting your head. Experience 8. Chiropractors. I was born with quite severe scoliosis. It was cheaper to go to a chiropractor than an actual doctor growing up. This has resulted in significant damage to my back. When I finally got in to see a spinal specialist, he mentioned that upwards of 45% of his long-term patients were there because of chiropractors. He told me after reviewing years of my x-rays that the adjustments I was receiving actually made my spine worse than if I were to have not done anything. It is also pretty common for chiropractors to break bones. There were a few people that went to my doctor that were paralyzed by a chiropractor. When I was 16, a chiropractor did an adjustment that caused one of the discs in my spine to rupture. I also had my hip dislocated at one point. So yeah, chiropractors are not real doctors and can cause a lot of harm. Experience 9. Lady I work with had a baby that always had its head cooked to the side. The old doc at the time said he just had a tight neck muscle and to send him to a chiro for babies. She took the baby to a chiro who did an adjustment. No x-rays, no nothing was done. The baby actually had a herniated disc, and when the adjustment was performed, it snapped back in place and severed the spinal cord. The baby died on the table the chiro did the adjustment on. Doc got off on a technicality that he recommended a chiro. It's not his responsibility to check for a super rare condition. The chiro got off on a similar technicality in that the mom didn't ask for x-rays and it wasn't standard for babies. Experience 10. Gasoline. People put it in their cars every day, so they don't realize how volatile it is. YouTube is full of videos of people pouring gasoline on a campfire or pouring it in a garbage can and sticking a match to it, only to find themselves sitting on their butts a half second later, eyebrows singed off and flash burns on their faces and hands, if they're lucky. It's explosive. It's not like lighter fluid for your barbecue grill.
Do you like listening to these stories? Do you want to hear more of them? Then click that like button, subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. And check the description for links to more videos and interesting stories.
Experience 11. Ever since I did WHMIS training, I've gotten extremely paranoid about reading chemical safety labels. The training showed a foreign worker essentially making chlorine gas by accident in dry cleaners and almost killing everyone in the building, and actually killing herself. Everyone who was exposed had permanent damage. There was a welder who didn't realize the chemical his work gave him had fumes that would burn off his eyes and face after just one use without face and eye protection. It cost him his marriage and his entire future. In the video, he said he didn't even blame her as there was no hope for him and he didn't want to burden his then young wife with having to look after someone completely broken. And I think there was a driveway sealant part-timer who was a high schooler or something. They didn't give him any safety gear and he got cancer applying the sealant like how they told him to do it. I don't think I ever watched such horrific true events presented in such a dry and boring manner. And they kept interviewing the people about how their life was after the fact and what could have been done differently, and it was just scarring. It's such a simple thing to just trust your job to check chemical safety for you, but go darn, if they didn't you can be royally screwed. I can't imagine just opening a barrel of something my boss told me to open and literally having my corneas burned out of my face. I also switched out many of my cleaners and detergents in my home to safer options wherever I could. Even if something like ice melts, I check to see for warning and safety labels. Experience 12. As a chef, it's food. I've seen people who cook at home with some very dangerous cooking habits. Everything from not washing hands after handling raw meat, it's all raw proteins, people, not just chicken, to not cooling leftovers properly and even proper storing procedures. Spoiler alert, don't store raw chicken above the salad you plan to serve with it. Those juices can drip down and contaminate everything. Personally, I think everyone needs to take a class on proper food handling for their safety and everyone's safety for whom they plan on cooking. Experience 13. Based on my experience later on the road, merging without looking or using your blinkers. I was literally almost pushed off the road recently. Some butthead decided to merge onto my lane without even a glance. Would have rammed right into the side of my car if I hadn't honked a lot. Seriously, people. Don't just look in the mirror. See if there's a car right next to you before merging. Christ. Experience 14. Tailgating at 70 miles per hour. Edit. Thank you Redditors for the overwhelming response and for the anonymous gold. To be honest, this thread moved to the left lane for passing discussion. It wasn't the goal of my response. My response is more about how a tailgater will dramatically increase the risk of an accident versus being patient and sharing the road with others. 100% of accidents are when two objects want to occupy the same space. And the logic of getting closer to the object in front of you at a relatively high speed seems illogical to me. Experience 15. Cutting food with dull knives. A lot of people are scared of cutting themselves with knives, which is valid. However, they don't realize that you're more likely with a dull knife. A sharp knife will slice right through a tomato, but with a dull knife, you have to really push. If you push too hard, it can slip and then you're going to have a bad time. Experience 16. I'm an avid skier. I was just skiing in Colorado at Loveland, and it's absolutely insane to me how people will click into their skis with little idea how to actually ski and very little idea where any given run will go and just go. If you point your skis downhill and let them go on a moderate pitch, you can get up over 30 miles per hour without trying to. There are so few things that people will do at that speed without knowing exactly what they're doing. And to be clear, the people who are put in danger are not just the Jerrys who don't ski within their ability level, it's also everyone else around them. I watched a fully grown man absolutely destroy a woman this past weekend because he was out of control through a trail merge. The woman never even saw him coming and had no way to protect herself. Experience 17. Noise-canceling headphones while walking in cities. You need to be able to hear your surroundings to react properly, can easily walk into traffic or get swiped by a bike if you're tuning out the world. The newest AirPod commercial shows a woman walking through an empty city intersection with her headphones in, then shows all the chaos return when she takes one out. Not safe. It's important to be aware of your surroundings in dense areas. Experience 18. Eating too many Brazil nuts. As they are very high in selenium, eating more than 5 Brazil nuts every day could lead to selenium toxicity, which can cause hair loss, vomiting, and fatigue, to name a few symptoms. I don't think it can be fatal, but still, something most people probably don't realize as it is never mentioned on the packaging. Shame as they taste so damn good. Experience 19. For new parents, sleep with your newborn in the bed. A lot of SIDS cases are actually accidentally smothering from one of the parents rolling on the baby and not finding out until it's too late. Sadly, I've seen this happen more than a few times. Edit. Since many have asked. I work in a children's hospital and am often present when such patients come in by ambulance. Sadly, it's almost always too late to save them. Experience 20. I had a college chemistry professor that was extremely intelligent. Freshmen hated his class because it was dull/difficult, and the only other classes he taught were the analytical/instrumentation classes, which, in a way, were dull by design, and we found out it was actually a cool guy with the right prodding.
We hope you enjoyed listening to today's stories. If you want to see more stories, check out these videos or check the links in the description for more videos. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. And ring that notification bell.